in the season premiere of Jobless Reincarnation. Instead of focusing on Rudy, what's happening to him, instead we focus on Sophie in the aftermath of the mass teleport event. So to begin, Sophie finds herself high up in the air, far away from Bruna Village, which we know is just far destroyed, and she's on a crash course to a garden within the Asura Kingdom, specifically the garden of Princess Ariel, no relation to the Little Mermaid. She is just lounging away in her garden, talking to her political or general advisor Derek, while also her knight Luke is also present. And maybe a little bit before Sophie crash lands, some type of boar monster comes out, potentially to assassinate Ariel, maybe coming out of nowhere because of the giant teleportation event. Either way, Derek and Luke do their best to protect Ariel. Derek dies in the process, and Sophie happens to just land on this giant boar monster's head and kills him. Because of that, Ariel decides to sort of exploit Sophie in a way. She makes it clear that she is trespassing, which is factual, but also because she saved her life, she tries to treat this as an opportunity to recruit Sophie to be on her side, since she's not associated with anybody in the royal family, while also kind of blackmailing her to keep her there at the same time. So she gives her the benefit of having some type of home for the next couple of years, while also keeping her on a short leash, because if she does anything, she gets called a trespasser, and that'll probably lead to her death. So time passes a little bit, and Sophie goes from being a girl who's a mage to now being known as a boy named Fitz, who doesn't talk that much, is usually very stoic, and pretty much only Ariel and Luke know the truth about her. But unfortunately for Sophie, or Fitz, she's drawn into a lot of the BS that Ariel's dealing with, and it seems during the teleportation event, Ariel went from about fourth in line for the throne to now second or next in line, and this complicates things for her. With being fourth in line before, she was very relaxed about the political scene and all that, but now with her moving up so much, now she's taking it serious about possibly becoming the ruler of the Asura Kingdom, but that puts her in direct contention with her brother Gabriel, someone who is a bastard son, so his claim to the throne is a little bit more questionable than Ariel, who is the rightful heir if you just go by who the king and queen actually had when it comes to children. So he recognizes that. He also recognizes that Ariel has been building up a bit of a force, mostly in the social scene in terms of becoming well liked, but Gabriel still is the one who has all the army, which is where his associate comes in. His associate, named Darius, is, if I was to compare him to anybody, it would be like the master of whispers in a way, since between children to adults, anybody you can think of, he has his feelers out there and can gain information. Now, he doesn't know about Fitz being Sophie or anything like that, since Ariel keeps him rather close to the chest. However, with Lord Powman, who is Luke's father and also a Grey Rat, so related to Rudy, trying to be of assistance to Ariel, you can see that this is only making things worse for Ariel in the long run, mainly because Lord Powman has never really succeeded in really helping anyone get anywhere, Bill even himself or his son. So when it comes to Gabriel, I forget how you pronounce his name. Either way, when it comes to Ariel's brother and her in contention, you can see that in time, Ariel may have a lot of the noble people, maybe even the commoners on her side, but with Gabriel, whatever, having the military, and also having someone like Darius who's not above doing some lowbrow type of stuff, it's a pretty much even match. Because of that, Darius decides to get an assassin, a child assassin at that, who's known for taking out noble men and noble women. They're known as the Night-Eyed Hawk, and thankfully, Sophie and Ariel having a bit of a sleepover because they have shared nightmares because of the day that the day that Sophie got transported and Ariel lost Derek. So Sophie is able to repel and actually kill the Night Hawk. But with this assassination attempt, Lord Palman says that it would just be better if Ariel decided to pursue foreign relations, continue her education elsewhere, rather than stay in the kingdom where her life is going to continue to be threatened. Now, is she fond of this idea? Not really. But she's not really with much choice in the matter. But with her not having much choice in the matter, she decides when it comes to Sophie, rather than keep you on the hook as the situation gets more dangerous, I'm going to give you free will. And with that, because Sophie has nowhere else to go and no idea where to really take herself, because she probably, like many, thought she was the only one to survive and has no real idea where Rudy may be, or maybe even has an inclination to try to find him, she decides to just stick with Ariel. And with that, off they go, and you're left to wonder, when it comes to this whole assassination thing, and then of course Ariel leaving, was that Lord Palman trying to really protect Ariel, or is it a case of him perhaps working with Gabriel and Darius so that maybe he can finally get a win by getting rid of the only competition to Gabriel ascending to the throne? So the first highlight when it comes to this episode is just, even with it being, it feels like so long since the first season, but even with all that time passing, Jobless Reincarnation still knows how to balance moving the story forward, even filling in gaps when it comes to Sophie's story, while also giving us a bit of world building. For in the case of the Kingdom of Asura, we had some idea of its existence before, but we didn't know about the princess, the political issues that were going on, and it being able to bring in Ariel's story while making sure that Sophie's still made relevant, and even make us interested in what's going on in Ariel and all the politics going on. I feel like that's notable. And considering this is the first episode, and instead of, picking up what happened with Rudy, and instead focusing on Sophie, who, yes, was a beloved character, but at the same time kind of disappeared after some bit in the first one, never mind. I think the last time we saw Sophie was when she was maybe a bit older or past the Ariel stage, and she was now going to that magic academy. I have to admit, this was a bit of a risk, but I think it's a risk that definitely paid off. With that said, I have to admit, even if you separate the Sophie thing and also not getting to catch up or even really hear about Rudy, I was a bit interested in what was going on with the political aspect of things between Gabriel and Darius, paired with Lord Palman, who I think was mentioned in the first season as a conniving member of the Grey Rat family, or even someone who would sell their own son out in order to save their own tail, I guess is a way you put the term. Either way, between kind of getting reintroduced to him, meeting his son, the whole Ariel versus her brother thing, and also wondering what the hell happened to the older siblings. Was the older sister married off? Did she and maybe the eldest brother die, get transported? Hard to say. Hopefully in future episodes they may kind of elaborate a little bit, but right now, just the fact that we have supporting characters like last season who are able to draw almost as much interest and attention as the main characters, it makes me feel that there's not going to be a sophomore slump when it comes to this season. Overall, while it is a surprise, we're going to have to wait on an update for Rudy. I have to admit that even without Rudy being there, I'm not anxious or kind of angry at the fact they skipped him for an episode. What we get is something of quality. It reminds you that this show is not just built around Rudy, and if he's not there, this show is trash, because it makes a true investment in all the supporting characters to the point where Sophie, who we have barely seen even in the first season, can now be the one that's focused on and still give us a quality episode, and even set up other characters who maybe could also in the future be the focus of an episode, and we would have no reason to complain.